Today our lesson is going to be, get there, it's going to be about the golden rule. Everybody knows the golden rule. Not everybody lives by the golden rule. The golden rule is one of the hallmarks of Christianity. It may not always be lived that way, but it is that thing that is the moral code that is the basis for Christianity. It is that thing that sets Christianity apart. And yet, there are some people that go, well, the golden rule isn't original. It's in Hammurabi's code. There's some other thing. It's in all these other things, and it's plagiarized. Well, not really. I'm going to read the golden rule now. It's Matthew 7:12. That's Matthew 7th chapter, verse 12. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Jesus even said it wasn't brand new. He said, this is the law and the prophets. All religion has two facets. Every single one. How you relate to deity and how you relate to humanity. That's it. If you want to boil any religion down, that's what it is. How do you treat deity and how do you treat humanity? And the law and the prophets, from the time the law was given on Sinai, this was part of it. And we see the same thing when we turn to Matthew 22:36 through 40. Matthew 22:36 through 40. Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law? And he said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. Love is the answer to everything. And you go, well, how come it's in all these other places? Well, I want you now to turn some, because sometimes I think this is going to be a little bit of teaching here. Just not religious teaching, but teaching about God, because we sometimes have some weird ideas. When you hear things in some of the ancient religions that are very similar to what God says, it causes people some doubt. Well, how come? Why? Why is that? Well, I want you to turn to the book of Job, the first chapter, and verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. And as you read down, you find out he was offering sacrifices for his children. Job was a priest. Job was not a Jew. He was before that time. He was not of Abraham's lineage. But God spoke to him. He was a priest. God had priests and prophets in all nations. When you read the story in Genesis 14, we won't read it, about Melchizedek. He was a priest long before Moses. But you go, well, if they were these priests, well, why did it get so twisted? Because people are twisters. That's why God separated a people and he gave them stricter rules. What happened to a prophet in the land of Israel if what he said did not come true? He was put to death. God kept his truth in that one line from being betrayed. And we know that it can be betrayed because if you read the book of Numbers, chapters 22 through 24, we do not have time for all of that. I wish we did because I love the story of Balaam. I just love it. He was a prophet. God spoke to him. And he goes, well, I can't do that. God won't let me. But let me twist it just a little. Let me do this. Let me do that. When you see truth in all these ancient religions, don't doubt. Instead, have your faith built up and go, God spoke to those people. They may have twisted it like Balaam and not stayed true to what God said. Be like Job's friends and twisted it and not stay true to what God said. But God gave his truth to people all over the world. But he kept it pure for the Israelites. So no, the golden rule isn't plagiarized. It is God's truth that was there every time that God spoke to human beings. And we'll get into some of those other golden rules and see they're really not quite exactly the same. But we'll start with the rules. You know, there are a lot of different rules that people live by. The first one is the iron rule. That's the do it my way or the highway. That's the iron rule. You will do this. The I in iron. Strong, unwieldy, arrogant. That's no way to live your life. But a lot of people do it. But that's a lot of people's moral code. Iron rule. Do it my way. Now, there's the silver rule. Oh, what in the world is the silver rule about? The silver rule is like the golden rule, but the silver rule is the golden rule in negative. Don't do to other people what you don't want them to do to you. And when you see the golden rule in all those ancient things, that's what it is. It's not do, it's don't do. And one other is, in the golden rule, it starts out with wish and then it says do. One other is, what you wish others to do to you, wish for them. That silver rule is much better than the iron rule, but it is still not as good as the golden rule. Even though people, oh yeah, that's the golden rule. No, it's not. Don't do to them what you don't want them to do to you. That's the negative, and it is very negative. It's very passive, whereas the golden rule is active. This is, don't do to them what you don't want them to do to you. Well, I don't want anybody to hit me. That's good, but that's not the same as the golden rule. It falls way short because it's an inactive thing. You're going to, don't want to cause harm. I don't want to do all that. It's don't do any damage, but don't do any good either. And that's what it is. It's basically don't do any damage. Well, that falls so short of the golden rules that you really can't, and honestly say, well, yeah, that's the golden rule. No, it's not. It's good. It's so much better than the iron rule, but it is not the golden rule. The golden rule is active. Do this. Do this. Don't just don't do things. Be active. The Christian's doing good is active. It is looking, and it requires intelligence. Because if you take the golden rule and you apply it without any intelligence, you won't actually get the same results that you think you want. You're crazy, Les. Okay? I've heard it said many times, well, I don't know what to get my husband for Christmas or for his birthday. That's a lie. You know where Home Depot is. You know the best. You want to please a man, you go down there and you get him a new tool. Or go to the gun store and get him a new gun. It's that simple. It's that easy. Now let's apply that. I'm a man. I'm going to apply the golden rule, and I'm going to do for my wife the way that I would want done for me, so I'm going to get her a vacuum cleaner for Christmas. No, that won't work. Requires, what do they really want? Not just putting yourself in there and go, okay, well, I like a tool, so they would love to have a tool. No. You have to look and see, what do they want? Because isn't that what you want? You want to be treated with what you want and desire. You know, I remember as a kid, when it was Dad's birthday or Christmas, if I didn't get him a tie, I gave him what I wanted. Because that's all you think, you know? So the golden rule requires being an adult and thinking of, what does that person really want? Because that's what I want to be, the way I want to be treated, is I want to be treated as an individual, as a person. I want somebody to see me. I mean, isn't that what we all want? Want somebody to see us, not see the mask that we put on, not see, well, that's just another human being, but to see the real person. That's what the golden rule is about. is to treat them the way that you want to be treated, to be seen and to look. And now I'm going to throw a little thing in here. I'm going to give a rule that's, I call it Satan's rule. Worse than the Aaron rule? Yep. The reason I know about this is because I made it up. Because I followed it. Because you know that sometimes when you're a teenager, you got all the ability to think and none of the ability to really reason things out. You know? So I came up with well, if you're a Christian and you treat me a certain way, then you're asking me to treat you that way. So you treat other people the way that they treat you because, well, they're Christians. So evidently, if they're mean, nasty, and rotten, I should be mean, rotten, and nasty back to them, and that's okay. That's what God wants me to do. No. No. That is Satan's rule. That's Satan's rule. He'll come into your life and he'll convince you that it's okay. Now, is it reasonable? Absolutely. And yes, I'll tell you, if you're a Christian and you treat people a certain way, you are asking them to treat you that way back. But a real Christian won't do that. A real Christian will follow the golden rule, even to those people that don't deserve it. The golden rule will sometimes get you in trouble. I tell you, doing good to people that mean you evil will not always work out well in this life. The thing about the golden rule is the golden rule is not concerned with how you survive in this life. The golden rule has nothing to do with how comfortable this life is for you. The golden rule is about how comfortable eternity is. Sometimes we get ourselves so caught up, no, we're not millionaires. No, we're not the great love of money. But when we put what happens in this life above the moral code of Jesus, we are putting ourselves in jeopardy. Jesus never said, do this if it will work out best for you. Do this if it's good. If it's in your best interest. He said, do unto others the way that you want them to treat you, you treat them. But they don't treat me that way back. Doesn't matter. Because the thing is they're the scorecard people. It's not who dies with the most toys wins. It's not who's the richest. It's God's scorecard. And when he looks at it and sees that your sins have been forgiven, you win. And we need to understand that not following the golden rule is a sin. And so maybe this is a silly sermon, but I want you to think, do you really take the time every day to consider how you treat other people? Do you really, every time you meet somebody, the person who checks you out at the grocery store, do you really stop and think? Or do you treat them like they're just another piece of equipment there at the grocery store? They're just like the cash register. They're there for you to use and abuse, and it doesn't matter. The golden rule is a lot more difficult than I think we give it credit for because we don't want to apply it. And I want to tell you that it sounds all high and mighty because you know what? It's not easy. There are some people out there that following the golden rule is going to be hard. Because there's some people that are just. They have done things that are just terrible. We still have to treat them the way we want to be treated. And I want people to overlook my stupidity. I want people to overlook the times that I was just plain mean. Because guess what? There are times I get mad. There's times I don't behave well. And I want with all my heart that other people will overlook that. So the golden rule tells me that I need to overlook what you do. Not the little fluffs, but the bad stuff. Anybody overlooks the little fluffy stuff. But everybody does something bad to somebody at some time. And the golden rule says, treat them the way you want to be treated. Overlook that. Give them second, third, and fourth chances. And that's hard. If anybody needs to answer the invitation in a public way, we would ask you to come now as we stand and as we sing.